President Biden staying silent on whether the U.S. will press China over the origins of the pandemic. He walked away when a reporter asked him if he planned on asking Chinese President Xi Jinping about that when they're expected to meet virtually before the end of the year. Joining me now is California Congressman Mike Garcia. He's also a member of the Appropriations Committee and co-chair of the China Task Force. Why can't the president, Congressman, simply respond to that question?
Well, it's because he doesn't have the answers, and he frankly doesn't have the backbone to actually confront China at the levels that we need to be right now. All eyes should be on China right now, and he's turning his back on the problem. China represents an existential problem, and fundamentally the issue we have right now is that neither nation fears each other. China doesn't fear us because they know that we don't have the capacity, the resources, and the technologies that they are currently developing and keeping up with them. And we don't fear them because we have a president right now who's not recognizing the existential threat that China represents. And this is what's leading to effectively an asymmetric problem where China is effectively left undeterred. And frankly, after the Olympics next year is going to pose a real problem, not only for us, but also Taiwan and the globe.
Should we boycott the Olympics?
We should be. We should be boycotting them. There's a number of efforts, and this is what the China Task Force is working on. We've got hundreds of tactics to develop to counter this threat, not just economically, but also militarily, also in all domains like space as well as cyber. There are things that we should be doing, and I do believe we should be boycotting. And I'm not opposed to sending our athletes and letting our athletes, frankly, win on the competition field and show the pride of Old Glory. Flying when they receive the gold medals. But I don't believe corporations should be allowed to support the Chinese Communist government right now and feed into this regime. And that's fundamentally one of the biggest problems we have is most corporations in the United States are woefully dependent on China, not only their revenue, but their market spaces as well as their growth plans. So that is something we need to disentangle and decouple from as well as we move forward.
I suppose those concentration camps where Uyghurs are held and tortured and raped are just an inconvenience to all the money in that country. I'm going to bring Joe Concha in here, but Joe, I want to just mention that tensions are rising, obviously. The Chinese military is building these mock-ups resembling U.S. warships for possible target practice. There are new images that show a full-scale outline of a U.S. carrier and missile destroyers at what appear to be a target range complex. Joe Concha, jump in.
And I don't see too much reporting on this on the evening newscasts on CBS and NBC and ABC. This is obviously a very major find, a major deal, and yet we always concentrate on the sizzle and not the steak. There's the steak on your screen right there. It's one of our warships, and China's playing target practice with it, and meanwhile is also threatening Taiwan. And we're just not talking about these big issues enough because maybe they're too kludgy or maybe they're too boring to the average news consumer. But this is a big deal, along with the president walking away when asked questions on will you challenge President Xi as far as the origin of the COVID-19 virus that's killed more than 5 million people worldwide, more than 750,000 Americans. He wouldn't answer the question because he probably doesn't have a good answer because he doesn't want to confront this head on. Did this originate in a lab in Wuhan or did it not, sir? And what are you doing to prevent the next COVID-19 from being unleashed on the world? The president doesn't want to answer those questions.
Congressman.
Yeah, it's appalling to me that you have a president right now and a White House press secretary that says that they welcome stiff competition. This isn't a volleyball match. This is literally a fight for our lives that has a 50 to 75-year arc, and China's looking at the long game. When you see what they're doing, not only building these man-made islands that extend their kinematic range by 500 to 800 miles, but also testing hypersonic weapons, building missiles that go Mach 25 with a range that touches the continental United States. And then you look at this administration right now, we're setting ourselves up for a perfect storm where the United States is probably most vulnerable against this giant bear called China than we ever have been, or maybe any other threat outside of our borders. If Americans will Google the DF-41 system, this is a Mach 25 intercontinental ballistic missile that is designed to take out Americans on our soil. This is what keeps me up at night. The DF-21D variant is the missile that's used to kill aircraft carriers. These are very real threats. China is getting a lead, and we need to take them seriously.
Congressman Mike Garcia, thank you so much for being here this morning.